Okay, recording has started, but there's no video, so.
Good evening, everyone. It is 7:05. I'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum present with all members but Ms. Otto present. Going down the agenda, item 2, approval of the minutes, consideration and possible action to approve the January 11th, 2024 library board meeting minutes. If you don't mind, please review the copy that was put together. Jessica, thank you for drafting those up last month. If there are no concerns, there have been a motion to approve. There's been a motion. Is there a second? Seeing a second from Mary, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Do you have the formal copy or is that, this is the draft copy?
Bring it over here. It's here. I'll find it.
Okay.
Oh, this is.
We'll sign that one at the end of the meeting then. Next, item 3, citizen comment period with the library board. Mr. Daniel, do you want to make any comments?
Yes, greetings, board members. My name is Daniel Hancock. I live on 124 Forest Moon Lane in Kyle. And first of all, the library does a lot of great things. We all had miniature golf in the library, I think, last year. Of course, I couldn't get my granddaughters to go. They'd rather stay home and watch videos, but that's a great idea. But a couple of weeks ago, I was going by the library. And I've lived here since 2020 and I've gone to the library fairly regularly. And the parking lot was just jammed. So I went inside and they're having a meeting. And I talked to some of the people at the meeting and they're pretty polite, but it was like a Democratic Party meeting, which I don't know if the library should be in politics. And it'd be just as bad as if it was the Republicans, because Democratic Party, Republican Party, they're pretty well heeled. I don't think they need the library to subsidize them by providing meeting rooms. And then I talked with some of the people. Again, they're pretty polite, and one said, well, Republicans will get their turns. But since I've been going to the library, except during COVID, that was the first political meeting I've seen at the library. And they had signs out on the library grounds in the lobby. There were pamphlets for various candidates, which is fine in the proper location, but I'm not sure the library is the right place. Libraries to just stay out of politics altogether. And you can get on a slippery slope and say, well, we're letting everyone do it, and then you'll have to let all sorts of groups. And just to be fair, again, the library doesn't really need to subsidize the Democratic or the Republican Party by providing meeting areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hancock. And for your awareness, later on the agenda, we'll have a policy proposing for city council that would address some of those concerns. And we'll get to that later tonight. Thank you, though. Sure. Are there any other comments from the public tonight? Hearing none, we'll go on to item 4, reports and presentation. Item 1, library director's report.
And you see our January statistics. I should have printed out the December one so you can see the difference. Our circulation did increase. December is always a slow month, so our circulation of physical books did increase. Our digital circulation, always consistent. You're always going to see it around that number. It doesn't matter if we're open or closed. It's just people use the digital collection really well. And then we had quite a few new cards compared to December. And so I'm always really excited when I see new cards, and usually this correlates with anytime we have a big event. Anytime we do a big event like the Shiny Art Show, people sign up to use the library. So 351, it's pretty impressive. And then patron visits increased since December, and everything else is pretty consistent. I was going to get y'all the pre-COVID numbers, and when I went to go get the statistics from 2022 to 2023, that fiscal year, we noticed that there was an inconsistency with how we were reporting our programs and our program attendance. And so I originally, when we went to go calculate it, the number would have been significantly different than the previous year. We're talking like 160. And then we paused, we realized there wasn't a distinction between outside groups using the meeting room and library programs. And so now we have to go back and just make that distinction before I give y'all those program numbers. But I was able to at least get the annual visits numbers, and it's super tiny. But if you look really closely, we had 12,000 more, approximately 12,000 more visitors in fiscal year 23 than we did in 22. So we are heading in the right direction, getting people back in the library, and our registered users have increased as well. It's a little slower than the annual visits, but we are heading back in the right direction to get people back into the library using the space again. So I think it's one of those things that's more of a marathon than it is a race. You just got to keep trucking along. And hopefully I'll have those other numbers for you. I just don't want to present information that wasn't accurate. And so we're going to move on to our accomplishments, and that awesome application Mary and Judy were working on, and they put so much effort and so much attention to it. And it resulted in us receiving, for the 8th year in a row, it's an Achievement of Excellence in Libraries Award from the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association. So it's number 8. And we were very excited. We're very happy. We have 7 plaques. And so we're going to make sure number 8 is right next to it. And there are various criteria that you have to meet. There's 10 different categories. And one of those is innovative programming, offering literacy programs for children and adults, outreach programs. So there's 10 different categories that you have to show that you're making a conscious effort to excel in those categories. And we proved that we are making this conscious effort. And out of 545 libraries in Texas, only 84 received this award. So it's a big achievement. We're really proud of ourselves.
Very
Yay, lives. And we just had our tiny art showcase. And one of the things we were originally worried about was people returning the work, but we pushed it on social media, and there's over 115 little tiny art displayed. And we had over 100 people here for the first look showcase. And when I say it was probably one of the sweetest and purest programs, it was so sweet. Seeing these youth pose with their pictures with their families, and their families coming to look. I was like, if you're having a bad day, or you just need to smile, you just need to come look at this artwork, because some of it is just so pure. And I love that the library has provided a space for kids to display their artwork. It's not a contest. It's just, we're just displaying any artwork that came back to us. And you can see how proud these kids were when they saw their artwork up. And I thought that was just very sincere. Our current project, we're planning summer reading. That takes months to plan. So we're in the process of doing that. Recounting program numbers. The state criteria constantly changes. I was gonna pull it up to show y'all, but every year when we go to apply for accreditation, the state will do a webinar with how you report your statistics, and then they'll give you a fact sheet And sometimes those numbers, or sometimes what they're asking for, it changes. Because we noticed that in the past, they would ask, how many groups are using your meeting rooms? How often do your meeting rooms get used? Well, that's not being asked anymore. And so it's because I didn't realize this. I didn't realize. So the state will ask this of us to report these numbers because they then have to report it on a federal level. And so it always comes back then. So that's why sometimes when we go to report these numbers, we'll see like little inconsistencies, and it says how we were tracking it might not be how they're asking us to track it for last year. But we're gonna get that going, and it's due at the end of March. So we're hoping to get ahead of the game. That way we can take time to really review it before we send it in. Michael is planning a career fair. He's partnered with the Greater San Marcos partnership, words, Jessica. And he is him, and then also Orlando has been helping reach out to other organizations for this career fair. And this one's for adults. And then Jen is doing one for teens on April 20th. And I think this is going to be our second one for teens, which is really exciting. And then our new outreach librarian started, and Jesus Hernandez, and he is already doing big things. One of the things we talked about was creating a form people can access online if they want to schedule outreach programs, or just partner with us. And within 2 days, we had that going and posted, and somebody used it for the first time yesterday. I know my staff was probably like, Jessica, but I was so excited because it made it so easy. All the questions were already answered, so there's not this back and forth, and it just makes that process a lot simpler. And then when we do get more requests, it just makes it more efficient. So that was exciting. And then AARP Tax Aid Program has started. It is once a week right now. And if we get good numbers, they're going to potentially extend that out to maybe a couple of days next year. Right now, they are having some issues with the scheduling site. But usually at the end of the day, when no one's using it, people can schedule. But what I like about this tax aid program is you don't have to be a certain age, you don't have to make a certain amount of money. It's really anybody that needs help with their taxes, they can come help. And we've already received really good feedback about that. So, and then starting March 5th, the library will be a polling site on election day, not for early voting, but on election day. And I've experienced this in other libraries, and I'm not sure how the first one's going to go because I'm not sure how many people will know about it. We are already on the website as a polling site, so people should be made aware. But usually it brings new people to the library, and parking is a little bit better here than City Hall. So hopefully this will bring new people to the library. I do have to wake up super early that day to open the library. Minor detail. Our bookmobile is still scheduled for the completion date of early 2025. That's if everything goes well. And once we receive it, we would still have to stock it and come up with our game plan with how to get it to the community. So we're looking forward to that. We're already meeting up and developing a outreach plan. So when it does come, there's not an extended lag time between it arriving and us being able to use it. So that's exciting. Let's see. And we're working on the accreditation reports. I think that was it. Okay.
One question for you. For the Tiny Art Showcase and the upcoming job fair, do we partner or collaborate with like the arts committee of the city or the economic development board of the city and try to like leverage outreach or resources there?
But I know that Michael was talking to people in the economic development department for guidance, because we had that conversation. As far as the tiny art show, we were really pushing it towards the schools. I know that we've had a lot of requests for adults to do tiny art. So maybe in the future, when we go to do this for the adults, there's a potential for, other partnerships. So that's a good question.
Any other questions or comments there?
Quick question, when is the accreditation report due again?
It's at the end of March. I know I don't have the exact date. Oh, it's October. Okay, let's see what's going on. I was gonna say, I was like, oh, March 27th, but I was like, no, that's not March 27th. That's the wrong date. I think I just got kicked off the Wi-Fi. I'll get that.
Okay,
Of course. I'll look that. Yeah. Do y'all all want that date? Because I can email it to you.
that'd be great.
I can do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Friends of the Kyle Library Report. Do you have that too, Jessica?
It's all
Okay.
that report. They gave us good information last time. Jane has been coming up to talk with me more frequently as we try to navigate. Like they help, so the friends will help with the summer reading Friday usually. So, they've been talking with us about that. So they will be supplying our summer reading prizes again for the kiddos. And we've just been figuring out the best and most efficient way to restock. They're the ones that do the coffee station for the patrons, so just, they've been coming up here to talk to us about the most efficient way to do that, so. But an actual report they don't.
Any questions? Hearing none. Item 5, announcements. The next meeting of the library board will be Thursday, March 14th at 7 p.m. Any other announcements to share? Item 6, consideration and possible action. Item 1, consideration and possible action to approve the circulation policy. And as a quick clarifying note, I know we have presentation to council on February 20th, limited only to the collection development policy and the exhibit display policy, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. And so at this point, the approval that would be needed, assuming the board is still on board with that policy as drafted, is teeing it up for a future meeting to council, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're still comfortable with waiting until we have a series of policies to present at one time versus piecemealing policies to council. Is that this general sense that we have, or is that a non-issue?
However you guys want to do it, we're putting these on consent,
Okay,
but, good backup and explanations, I don't think it'll necessarily get a public reading.
Okay.
But, council people if they want.
okay. So it wouldn't be disruptive to their Tuesday night if we kept sending them policies on consent. If they had a concern, they would deflect.
Right. And we need to add that to the backup to, you were reviewing all the policies and you'll be bringing them forward as they vetted by this board.
Yeah, my goal is to present them, like group them together. So like when we go to present the circulation policy, it would be presented with the library card policy.
Okay.
That way it's more cohesive and it's more understandable. Yeah.
Mhm.
So like right now, it would be this material selection policy and display and exhibit policy, because those kind of go together with like how we select materials and how we select our displays and exhibits.
Okay. So that brings us still to item 1, the consideration of possible action on the circulation policy. That's provided in our packet here. I know we went at length the other month to go through all this. Are there any other substantive concerns or amendments on this policy? Hearing none. I would motion to approve the circulation policy as updated in January 2024. Is there a second? Second from Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 2, consideration of possible action to approve the tech share policy that's also provided. Any concerns or requested amendments here?
Our policy's been through a lot.
Through a lot. I'm certainly convinced now. All right. Then I'll motion to approve the tech share card policy. Is there a second? Hearing a second from Ms. Joy. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 3, discussion of library policy review process. Jessica, I know you had some ideas on streamlining and going through the rest of the policy updates.
Yeah, so I put together someone from administration level, so it would be me and then you have Michael, one of our librarians, and then 2 frontline staff workers that we're gonna put together a committee so that when we go to approach these policies, we can see how it's gonna affect everyone that works in the library, but we're also wanting some feedback or having someone from the library board that would be going to be on the committee, since y'all are the ones that represent the public and can advise us in that regard. So if we can get someone to volunteer, we can get this process going for them. That way when we go to present it to y'all, we kind of already have some feedback from somebody on board. So when we go to approve these, hopefully it will just be a little more efficient.
When do you plan to meet? Or is that still up in the air based off of scheduling?
It would be based on off of scheduling, so. And ultimately, I would throw some dates out there to see if there's availability from people and we'll go from there, but, the beautiful thing about the library is we're open until 8 Monday through Thursday, and schedules can be rearranged. This happens. And we're open on Saturdays, so we can make it work on the staff level. As far as like our scheduling is going.
Use one of them.
I would say at least one. I would prefer 2. So, if anyone's willing to volunteer.
I'm happy to volunteer, but if anyone else wants a spot, I'm happy to defer.
Joy. Yeah. I
Joy
did, yes. Joy would be great.
Joy would be great.
Go for it.
Yes, awesome. Then I will go ahead and reach out to you. We can get it going. And your feedback is going to be so much appreciated. So thank you.
Nobody wants to speak.
We'll coordinate on, make sure we, at least one of us.
Okay.
I didn't think you'd be volunteer, so I was happy to let you run with it.
I'm actually more flexible for it.
Oh, perfect. So that's gonna appreciate that.
Anything else on that topic?
That's it.
Okay. Item 4, February 20th, 2024, presentation to City Council regarding the Kyle Public Library's collection development policy and exhibit and display policy. These are the 2 items here. They've been approved a while back, I think back in the summertime, but we were waiting to make sure we had clarity on ordinance changes that occurred. That's settled now, and so now getting that formal approval is what's next here. Jessica, if I understand right, you're putting together kind of presentation on what is changed, why it's changed, and that'll be accompanying the 2 policies to council on the 20th. Right.
So I have put together a presentation. I'm still editing it. Jerry's provided some really good feedback to make sure it it's presented well and reads well. But it's my understanding that, and I went back to make sure that these policies were adopted back in 2015, but they never actually went to council. So I've asked around, and so I am under the impression we don't actually have official policies set in place that have been approved by council before.
There's an ordinance that requires it too.
And there's an ordinance
That's what
that
we're
requires it. And so because of that, what we have, we thought that if the library board approved it, it would make it policy, but it has to get approved by council to make it official. So kind of what we have in place is really like procedures until it gets approved by council. So we're wanting to present this as not so much as like, these are the policies we changed, but really it's like, oh, we don't have anything set in place. And so we've worked together with the library board and the staff to create these and have them set in place. So we have criteria in place for how the staff selects materials and how the staff selects things that want displayed in exhibits. And it really just sets down like rules as well. I don't know if like today, whenever y'all leave, if you go by like the bulletin board, you can see sometimes people will just stick advertisements up, things like that. So it's making sure that we have solid rules set in place to ensure that like everyone's, when it comes to the selection of materials, like all viewpoints are presented, and it's not a reflection of the staff agreeing or disagreeing. It's just, here's the information and we allow the public to develop their own opinions.
And I know you mentioned going on a consent agenda,
Mhm.
so we're not expecting to present anything, correct? But we should be prepared in case they.
Yeah,
they-
they should always expect.
I know, I'll plan to be there that night, and who else can join too, obviously.
But that's why we work really hard on the backup,
Mhm.
so that in their preparation, they can read, they can understand. They're, due to the length of our agenda sometimes,
Yes.
they're motivated to not discuss anything they don't have to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And staff prefers that, so that's why we work so hard on backup.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
So, I'm in a question. Because these policies have not gone before council,
Mhm.
I'm specifically to the collection of government policy, is there been such a thing as adopted July sixth?
So I have edited that out.
Okay,
I've edited out and I've edited out the part where, like the signature part where it was adopted. So it's a clean, fresh policy that has been posted for council.
okay. And so based on the comments that you just made, the policies that are posted then on the website, are they policies that have already been approved by council?
It's
Okay.
my understanding we have not had policies approved by council.
Okay, so is there anything that either should be posted online, because if they're not really the approved policies, is there being?
Does it say just policies or does it say policies and procedures? Okay.
And every part of procedure, and then everything else underneath, it's a policy, which are all the items that we have been going over. So it's just, if that's the case.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, we'll have to change that and make sure it reflects what's actually, yeah.
That's correct.
And work to quickly go through the rest of them, so they're all
Yeah.
formal.
Which I don't think we have a whole lot left. There's quite a bit that we've gone through.
Yeah.
I know that's why the reason we want to do the collection development policy, and that's one of the reasons we definitely want to have that set in place. Just because that could be kind of a hot topic, and then the exhibit and display. Those are the ones we are wanting to make sure we really get set in place.
And Mr. Hancock, I would point out on that display and exhibit policy, section 2, part 3, exhibits containing political campaign literature, legislative lobbying, commercial advertising, solicitations, or religious proselytizing are not permitted under that policy should council approve it.
We had legal resolution.
They're the next part.
Sorry.
They're the next part in the review process.
Yeah. And we just want to make sure, because this is a public space. Yeah. Anytime we say something is prohibited, we have to make sure that we're not violating like freedom of speech and stuff. So we'll need to have Amy review that.
Yeah, so for the meeting room, we don't do that. because we are, it is like a limited public forum. It's a public library. So the meeting room policy will address that, and the exhibit is like when it's really for like, if they go to try to post like if they were to post their flyers outside of the meeting room space that they're utilizing at that time, they would not be allowed to do that.
Well,
So,
we
like,
need to make sure that they within our rights
okay,
to prohibit that
yeah,
because it's public space and they have freedom of speech and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's why he needs to review.
okay,
And I think that is something that we had discussed here as a group in previous meetings. And the other thing was that I believe the board was under the impression that the previous policies had been sort of approved through the right
I wouldn't.
protocol. And that was the starting point. So it's good to have that information.
yeah,
But that is the next step, correct, is to go through legal counsel before it gets to council, city
Yeah,
council.
and if she recommends some substantial changes, we're going to pull it from this agenda and bring it back.
this has been a very interesting and I would say fun. I've been learning about the process, and so now I have a better understanding of how things end up going to council and ending up on the agenda. So I actually really appreciate this opportunity to learn.
So,
But I'll keep y'all informed as well.
yeah, so another, I guess something to consider that we also had discussed previously is the look of the documents, right? That they follow proper city of council. Is that something that has already gone through communications to be reviewed? And if not, what is the step for when communication?
By the city secretary.
Okay.
Sure.
The silent. Mhm.
And so that has been done already.
Trying to see what-
But they might also catch that in legal review.
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
If it needs to be changed, if it's just a form thing, just change.
Yeah, the style, the style will affect the content of the policy.
I know it's late in the game, but I just had a question about if this policy extends to the exterior of the library.
Exterior, like outside the library. I would assume anything like a library property, important thing considered library property.
It's just not clear. It's not explicit, and I don't know how important that is for a display and exhibit policy. But if we're talking about things that could easily extend to advertising and campaign posters and things like that, I wonder if it should be explicit.
Okay,
You'll just see how that goes out in the legal review.
yeah,
Because if it comes to active political campaigns, then that's a different set of rules.
yeah, that's,
So for people to vote here, I've noticed in other voting polls, they always have everybody's campaign out on the ground during voting time.
Yeah, there's rules about where it could be and how far away it can be from the entrance to the voting center. Our code enforcement people will check on that.
I meant more about like off a rogue guerrilla marketing.
yeah. No, I've had that happen at other libraries, so yeah, it does happen.
Yeah, I wonder how explicit we need to be.
So we've started that process to get that going to the proper channels to review it. And then the presentation and everything, they're gonna review that. And then when we go to present this to council, the library board is basically there as like to show like we went through this and y'all are there to support if we need to show that like this was a process. It's just us putting this together without getting proper feedback from the proper channels. Something like people there.
We got you.
Thank you.
Are there any other review steps besides legal and style guide reviews that on between now and the 20th?
So
I don't
this,
think so.
Okay,
yeah, this stays legal and then it goes through upper state management.
It'll just be part of a regular agenda review process.
is there anything you guys need from us to help those review processes? Okay. Cool. Any other discussion on this topic? Hearing none, that is the end of our agenda. If there are no other topics, is there a motion to adjourn? The motion from Mary, is there a second?
Second.
Seeing a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned at 7:41.
Love it. You bet.
Let me see if I can get this to stop recording.